Good day, everyone. Welcome to the QSU Online Extension Services, dubbed as 3T or Teachers Thursday Training. This 3T is a joint online service extended by the faculty members of the College of Teacher Education flagship programs such as Bachelor in Elementary Education or BEd, Bachelor of Secondary Education or BSed, Bachelor in Technology and Livelihood Education or BTLED, and Bachelor in Early Childhood Education or BESED. This is intended for classroom teachers, administrators, informal educators, policymakers, community leaders, researchers, parents, students, and all the other stakeholders interested in preparing themselves to become well educated for global competence. This extension service is meant to be viewed in the way that best meets your needs, inspires your curiosity, and dispositions you need to succeed in today's rapidly changing and complex world. So today, the City EBS Ed Service, dubbed as Kaban ng Karunungan, humbly presents Finders, Keepers, to read happily ever after. O, diba? Something like magical. Okay, of course, as teacher or as a facilitator of learning, one of the problems that I am slowly becoming aware of is the poor performance of the students when it comes to reading comprehension. So most of the times, based on my experience, um, whenever I ask my student to read, what happens is that they could really or they could hardly understand what is written. Not because they are not interested, but because they have poor vocabularies. And that problem affects the way how they understand the paragraph or the passage I am asking them to read. Okay? Now, this video aims to help you as readers or as listeners to find clues or to become finders of clues and keepers of meaning when reading unfamiliar words within a text, paragraph, or passages. So this video is not only intended for the learners, but of course, this is also intended for those professionals in the academe or elsewhere because I believe reading is really a part of our daily existence. No matter what you are, no matter who you are in the society, reading is really important. Okay? So when we talk about reading, it is a very good habit that one needs to develop in life. Okay? Aside from it gives enjoyment or enlightenment, it is also a way to relax and reduce stresses. What else? It helps us unlock the unknown, and reading introduces us to a whole new world or dimension. Thus, we must know how to learn from reading in order for us to survive, not only to survive in this knowledge driven world, but also personally, reading could help us understand better the text given to us. So what we have, there is really a need for us to improve our reading comprehension because this is one of the keys that would help us to become globally competent individual. Now, the problem is that, okay, nahuli yung video or yung PowerPoint ko. Okay? Now, the problem is that no matter how much we love reading or no matter how eager we are to learn about what we are reading, still we ended up losing interest. Okay? So what do you think is the reason behind? Sometimes or most of the time, one of the reasons is our poor vocabulary. And another one is our impoverished exposure to language. Or in general, we often encounter words we do not know. And as we encounter these words, we ask ourselves, what did he say? I don't get the idea. And chances are, we tend to look for a dictionary or whatever resources we have that would help us at least understand what we are reading. So usually, of course, to help us figure out how to say the words and determine its meaning in order to understand what this word means in the text or in the sentence, we look for strategies, right? Or we use strategies. And we believe these strategies could actually help us to survive this reading difficulties. Okay? So what are some strategies that we use? So these are only few of the strategies that we use. One of this is the chunking, okay? Most of the time, when you could hardly understand what is written in the text, we read the words one by one, okay? Or we break it up into pieces, and sometimes it works, okay? What else do we do whenever we could hardly understand the text? Another one is we look for clues, okay? Or these clues are what we call the context clues, which will later on be discussed in the succeeding presentations. So, what more, or I mean, what else do we do when we could hardly understand what we are reading? Of course, we make connections, or we connect the words that we see to our past or to our experiences. Okay, and sometimes we also make connections to your own experiences in the words present around, or in the succeed in the neighboring words. Okay, or to cut it short, we use or we connect these words to the other neighboring words or to the words present here. Okay. And usually, of course, to help us figure out how to say the word and determine its meaning in order to understand what the word means in the sentence, okay, we look for strategies. And these strategies include chunking. Okay, so what do we mean by chunking? Chunking means breaking it up into pieces. Isn't it that every time we see sentences that we are not familiar with, we try to locate this word and then try to define each word. Okay? So this is one of the strategies. Ulit, however, no matter. Reading. So usually, of course, to help us figure out how to say the word and determine its meaning in order to understand what the word means in the sentence, we look for strategies. And we use these strategies like chunking. Okay. So, what are these strategies that we may use to help us understand what we are reading? We have the chunking, or in other words, we break the words up into pieces, or I mean we break the sentences up into pieces. What else? We look for clues, okay, or we use the present words, or the words sitting next to that difficult words, just to identify or determine the meaning or the function of this word. What else? We do some connections. Most of the time, we make connections in other words that we heard. What else? Or make connections to our own life. Okay? What else? This is our favorite. Every time we encounter words, or every time we encounter highfalutin words, we make guesses. Okay? And we follow our instincts. Okay? Basta ka na lang magbabasa. Babasahin mo na lang, and then you just leave that word, and then you never go back to that word again and continue na lang to reading. Okay? And sometimes it works, right? But I am not encouraging you to do the guessing all the time. Of course, you have to exert some effort to at least know what this difficult term or unfamiliar term means, or really means. Okay. Another one that we do is we look it up in a dictionary. Okay. Or we scan for meaning. All right. So when encountering unfamiliar words, we immediately look up to a dictionary. Okay. Or we get our phones and then look for the electronic, or yeah, electronic devices or dictionary or applications that would help us define the word. Okay. However, it's really impossible for us to consult a dictionary every time we encounter unfamiliar words because it may impede our task completion. Therefore, today, to help you at least um, minimize the activities or the extracurricular activities in reading, like looking for the definition or guessing. Okay, today we are going to learn how to use context clues to help you feel more confident in making an educated guess. Okay? Not unlike before, we just guessed. Okay? We do not exert effort to know the meaning or the technical definition of the term. What we do is we just leave this and then we just make some guess. Okay? But now, of course, in this video, we are going to learn how to use context clues to help you feel more confident in making an educated guess about a word based or yeah, about a word based on the available hints. Okay? What else? So, what are the importance of learning these context clues? Okay, so learning how to use these context clues can help you understand the meaning of the word. It helps you to understand what you are reading, and at the same time it helps you improve your vocabulary and save you from using Google or dictionary. Okay, that once you have mastered this context clues or the use of context clues, it just popped up like we are like Archimedes. We could just say that eureka word or I found it. Okay, now let's continue. Okay, so what do we mean by context clues? So context clues are hints found within a sentence, paragraph, or passage. So these clues can be used to understand the meanings of new or unfamiliar words. All right, so just like a detective following clues that lead to the perpetrator of a crime, you as a reader must use context clues within a text passage to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words. Okay, so context clues are simply hints, okay, or additional information that the author provides to help us understand the meaning of a particular word or phrase. Okay, what else? So these clues can be found in the same sentence as the vocabulary word or elsewhere in the passage. So be on the lookout whenever a new term presents itself. Okay, so context clues. So, all right. So these are some of, or I mean, yeah, these are the stages or the steps that we may use as a strategy for better understanding of what we are reading. Okay. So first here, whenever we encounter new terms in a sentence or a text, the number one thing that we do is to read the sentence that contains the unknown word. Okay. Now, may I ask, who among you um experienced reading a sentence for more than twice or thrice? Okay. So if you are one among them, then that's normal. Okay? It's because that is one of the steps in order for us to understand better what we are reading. Okay? So reading is natural and it is a part of the strategy that could help us understand more the text, okay, or the paragraph. So the second one is, or the second step that we do every time we encounter unfamiliar words or um, highfalutin word is we reread the sentence before and after the sentence that contains the unknown word. Okay? So right after reading the sentence that contained the unknown word, what we do next is we read the succeeding, or if not succeeding, at least the sentences that could be found around that sentence, okay? Or the sentences that surround this sentence which contains that unfamiliar word. Okay, now the third step that we usually do is we base or we find for the clues, okay? And we try to figure out the meaning of this word based on the hint given by the text or the paragraph. And lastly, for us to understand better what is written in the book or in the paragraph, okay, we at least try to insert the meaning of this highfalutin words in the original sentence to see whether it makes sense. Okay, so let's try how this works. Say, for example, our sentence is, the doctor said the remedy for my cold was some medicine. Okay, now if you don't know the meaning of remedy, okay, as highlighted in the text, you can use other words in the sentence to figure it out. So you know that a doctor helps keep people healthy. And a cold is an illness, right? So, and medicine is something you take to feel better. Now, since a doctor helps keep people healthy, the speaker has a cold, which is indicated by my cold in the sentence, and medicine helps get rid of a cold, then we can assume that remedy means something similar to cure. Okay, so that's how we do or that's how we follow the steps given in the previous presentation. Okay, another example. Let's pretend that the term or the highlighted term here is idyllic. Okay, the day was warm, sunny, peaceful, and just all around idyllic. Okay, now how are we gonna arrive, or how can we draw out the meaning of this based from or based on the words present in the text or in the sentence? Of course, the number one thing we have to do is to look at the words that describe the day to understand the meaning of idyllic. Okay, so the day is described as warm, sunny, and peaceful. Okay, so since these words are usually used to describe a nice, sometimes perfect, or yeah, sometimes perfect day, then we can assume that idyllic means something that is very nice and ideal. Okay, now of course you have to put in mind that those steps that I had given you a while back may not work every time, but at least these steps can give you a place to start, okay? That you no longer have to grab your phones and then open your Merriam dictionaries or applications that may give you definitions or synonyms of that word. That by just simply looking to the neighboring words present in the sentence, you can then arrive at the definition of this unfamiliar term or words. Okay, now let's move down to the types of the context clues. Okay, all right. So I have here the anchor chart. Okay, now to help you remember these types of context clues, I made a mnemonic device, leads. Okay, so L stands for logic. Okay. Ayan. E stands for example. A stands for antonym. D for definition. And S for synonym. Okay. Now try to take a look on the logic context clues. All right. So what I am presenting right now are the different types of context clues we may use in order to arrive at the definition of that unfamiliar word or new term. Or some would regard this as highfalutin words. Okay, that we could make logic or that we could make use of the logic context clues. We could also make use of the example context clues, so on and so forth. Okay, so all right, so when we use the logic context clues, okay, we make inferences based on our prior knowledge and experiences. All right, of course, our schema, or what we call our prior knowledge, is really important in this context clue. Okay, sometimes it also demands us to use our common sense. Okay, so that's the logic context clue. And our the context clue that we may use is the example context clue. Okay, so how do we use this? We have to find, for examples that would help us give an illustration of that word. What else? In antonym context clues, all right, what we do here is to look for applied contrast for meaning. Okay, and for the definition context clues, here we have to find meaning or the word that states this unfamiliar word. And for the synonym, all we have to do is to look for the similar words and phrases. Yeah, similar, or I mean, we look for the words or phrases similar to that unfamiliar term or new word. Now, let's focus first to the logic context clues. All right. When we talk about logic context clues, these are the things that we have to put in mind. Okay. So, in logic context clues, all we have to do is to identify the general context or the gist of the passage. Okay, so to me, this is very most important context clues strategy. Okay, reading has to make sense. So when we come to a word we don't understand, we make inferences based on our prior knowledge and experiences. And that is what I mentioned a while back, our schema, and based on the clues the author provides. Okay, so say for example, we have here sentence, John burst out of the woods and found himself at the edge of a precipice. Clinging to a boulder, he gazed down dizzily at the blue ribbon of river below. Okay, so since the word precipice isn't defined, restated, or put in contrast with other words, readers or you must try to figure out what the word means by reading the passage and thinking about the other information in the text. Okay? So if he's gazing down, therefore he's high up. Okay? So it's logic. All right. And if the river looks like a blue ribbon, he must be very high. Okay, we all know that if a water or a body of water is color blue, okay, meaning to say the water is deep, or yeah, the measurement or the ground is way too deep. Okay. Now, going back to what I have mentioned a while back, if the river looks like a blue ribbon, he must be very high. So, and another information given to this sentence is boulders are very big rocks, usually on mountains. Okay? So, therefore, a precipice, based on the information provided in the sentence, we can say, or we can conclude that a precipice must be someplace up high on a mountain at the edge of something where you can see over to what's below. Okay? So, what are the signs, or what are the transition words that introduce logic context clues? We have here the uh, the words that helps us identify the general context or the gist of the passages. Okay. All right. Another example on how we could use logic context clues. So the haberdashery was Danny's favorite place. Okay, he loved shopping for nice suits. The people who worked there were so kind and helpful. All right. Now, here, based on the succeeding sentences, we can conclude that haberdashery is a place that sells suits. Okay, so if your answer is similar to a location or to a larger place that sells clothes for men, then your answer is correct. Okay, so here the definition for the haberdashery is a men's clothing shop or a men's department in a larger store. Okay, so what are the clues provided here in order for us to come up with the definition of haberdashery? We have the word shopping, we have the nice suits, okay? And also, there are the presence of the workers who help the buyers find a nice suit or a perfect suit for them. Okay? So let us all take advantage. So in logic context clues, here, synonyms are not available and other contradicting words are not present. So all we have to do is to use our common sense and take advantage of those sentences present in this paragraph or text. Okay? Another one or another example under logic context clues. Okay? Once the screeching car came to a halt, the acrid smell of burning rubber soon made our eyes water. Okay? So here, of course, in order for you to infer the meaning of acrid, okay, you would need to have the prior knowledge of what burning rubber smelled like. Okay? Or of course, you must um you must go back to your experience having this or to your experience of burning rubber or smelling, I mean. Okay, that we have to go back to our experiences whenever we smell something burning, like for example rubber, right? And it really gives us a very unpleasant smell. Okay, and also it gives us an experience, or yeah, it helps us or have experience an odor that make our eyes water. Okay? So therefore, based on the sentences or based on the words present here, we can conclude that acrid, and of course, do not forget, based on our experience, that whenever we smell something like unpleasant, okay, we could come up to the technical definition of acrid here as something uh yeah, like something unpleasant or something that may result um or yeah, something like give us or provide us an irritating smell, okay, or experience. All right, so what else? Okay, we also have here the so we're done with logic context clues. Take note, another one is that upon looking to the word, you cannot conclude yet how this word is used. Okay, you cannot literally provide the definition by just looking to the word. Another one that you have to consider is its function or how this word is used. Okay, so that's another rule when we are using the logic context clue. Okay, so what else? So we're done with the logic context clue. Let's now move on to the example context clue. Okay, so in example context clues, okay, oftentimes the unknown word will be accompanied by an example, either before or more likely after the unknown word. Okay, so when we are taught to keep reading and not to get bogged down with the unfamiliar word, we might be able to find a good example that will help us understand what we are reading. Okay, so this is not to say that we have to ignore, all right, the unknown word. Okay, it's really what I'm trying to say is that you just have to take advantage of those words that gives an illustration of that unfamiliar word to help you define what this word really means. So, okay? So, all in all, there is no need for you to ignore this highfalutin or unfamiliar word. There is just a need for you to be familiar with the examples given in the sentence. Okay? And that would help you arrive at the definition of this new term. Okay, so what are the clues that we may use, okay, in order for us to define new terms or unfamiliar words? Okay, so we have to look for specific examples, and the effects are used to define the term. Okay, what else? We have to look for a word or phrase that provides an example to illustrate the unfamiliar word. And lastly, we have to look for these transition words such as for example, for instance, to illustrate, or like, including, and as such as, and many others. So let's try how these example context clues can be used in a sentence. So we have here, I knew Mark's ailurophobia was in full force because he began trembling and stuttering when he saw my cat Ludwig sneak out from under the bed. Okay, here even if contract contradicting words are not present, or even if we do not use our common sense, still we can come up to the definition of the word ailurophobia. Okay, so although this word, or although this ailurophobia is an unknown word, the sentence gives an example of its effects. Okay, now based on this example, a reader or you could confidently surmise that the word means a fear of cats. All right, another example is here. Okay, we have already defined what acrid means before, but here the function of this word is different. Okay, all right. So acrid odors such as bug spray, gasoline, and smoke make me nauseous and gives me a headache. All right. So of course, here the text provides examples of acrid substances. Here you no longer have to use your common senses because all the examples are already given in the text. So we could easily assume, since we have this spray, gasoline, and smoke, we can assume that this acrid means something unpleasant or something that would cause irritation. Okay? So what else? Another example where we can use example context clue is here. The children were able to observe several crustaceans, including crab, lobsters, and shrimp. Okay, here again, we no longer have to think twice or thrice. It's because the examples are already given here in the sentence. Okay, that we can conclude that this unfamiliar word means okay, what? Okay, it means any creatures with a soft body that is divided into sections and a hard outer shell. Okay, so that's how we can use the example context clue. Okay, another one is another example is pedagogical institutions, including high schools, kindergartens, and colleges, require community support to function efficiently. Okay, so here, pedagogical is the unfamiliar words, but here it does not demand a lot of effort for us to determine the meaning. It's because um all the examples are already given here. We have the institutions like high schools, kindergartens, and colleges. And these are institutions relating to the practice of teaching and its methods. So therefore, we can say that pedagogical has something to do with teaching and yeah, and yeah, has something to do with the practice of teaching and delivering methods. Okay, so that's how example context clues can be used, okay, to arrive at the definition of unfamiliar word. Now let's move down to the antonym context clues. Okay, so how can we use this? Okay, of course, we all know that by the third or yeah, to fifth grade, many students can tell already which one is antonym or what is the antonym of a word or what is the opposite of the word. Okay, many, of course, at this age, however, do not understand that antonyms may be used to figure out mystery words. Okay, so when we see phrases like unlike or as opposed or different from or in contrast with, then these are now providing us a clue, okay, to find the unknown words antonym, okay, or yeah, to at least help us piece together the words meaning or the meaning of these unfamiliar words. Okay, so what are the tips that we can at least use in the search for the definition of an unknown word using antonym context clue? We have the first is we have to look for a word that is paired or contrasted with another word. Okay? Those are what I have mentioned a while back, like the unlike or as opposed to, okay, or in contrast with, all right? And another one is we have to look for the reverse of synonym but have the same effect. Okay? Now let's try how we could use this context clue in a sentence. Okay? Or in looking for a definition of a word within a sentence. Okay. So we were all pretty apathetic in the movie about animals, but we became interested when it started showing all the tricks dogs can do. Okay. Now, based from this example, we can conclude that apathetic. Okay. So, what are the clues used here that talks the opposite of the meaning of this unfamiliar word? We have here the we became interested. Okay. All right. So interested, if we're gonna think of the opposite of the word interested, this is something not interested. Okay. Therefore, we can conclude that the word apathetic here is something that you have no interest at all. Okay, so that's how easy we could use the antonym context clues. That is, of course, if these opposite words are provided in the sentence. Okay, all right. So here's another example. Brad made a cursory effort to finish his homework. This was unlike him. He usually works hard to finish before dinner. Okay, so what are the clues that are given or yeah, what clues are given in the text? Okay, we have here the word he or the group of words or the clause. He usually work hard to finish before dinner. Okay, so using this, we could easily I determine what cursory mean, right? Without even looking to the dictionary, we can conclude that cursory means hasty and therefore not thorough or detailed. So therefore, Brad made um hasty effort to finish his homework. Okay, he did not exert a lot of effort to accomplish his homework. All right, what's next? Okay, again, we'll be using the word acrid. Okay, sweet syrup and delicious strawberry juice are used to conceal the acrid taste of the medicine. Okay, now looking to the words sweet syrup and delicious strawberry juice, okay, we could easily um surmise what acrid means. All right, it means unpleasant or something that is um something that tastes bitter. Okay, so here, and we are all familiar with the taste of medicine, right? Which is something like bitter or it's really hard for or a taste that's really hard to go inside, okay, because of its taste. All right, so that's how we could use the antonym context clue. Next one is we also have here an example of a sentence in which we could make use of the antonym context clue. We have the susceptible people, okay, unlike those who can stand up for themselves, tend to be the target of unethical or dangerous individuals. Just by simply looking to the word next or to the group of words sitting next to the word susceptible, we can easily determine or we can easily define what susceptible means, which is people who are likely or liable to be influenced or harmed by a particular thing. Or these people are prone to or what we call the vulnerable ones. Okay? So those are the opposite words that are present there that may give us the definition of this unfamiliar word. Okay. Another one is this another one where we can use the antonym context clue is the girl who used to be very vociferous doesn't talk much anymore. Okay? So how can we arrive at the meaning of vociferous? Oh, sorry, that's vociferous. Okay, vociferous. All right. So what clue can be used in order for us to define these unfamiliar words? So we have here the doesn't talk much anymore. Okay. So what's the opposite of doesn't talk much anymore? Meaning to say someone like um loquacious, what else? Very verbose. Okay, so someone who is loud or insistent as to compel attention. All right, so that's how we define vociferous. Vociferous. Okay, even I now is experiencing confusions. Okay. But anyway, let's just move on. Okay. Another one is to help us better understand what we are reading. Okay, and arrive at the definition of unfamiliar words. We may also use the definition context clues. So, what are the things that we have to look? We have to look for words or phrases that introduce a definition for the unfamiliar word. Okay, so these words or transition words could be such as, defined as, what else? Means, refers to, okay? And sometimes these are introduced or the definitions of these unfamiliar words are also introduced by a quotation marks, what else? Parentheses and brackets. So even though in real reading, we normally don't use a dictionary that often to figure out new dictionary that often, right? To figure out new words. So although I have actually done this on occasion if it bothered me that much, okay? So you need to know that a word's definition may be found right in the text. Okay? So actually, this kind of context clue is the easiest one since you no longer have to think. It's because the meaning is already given in the text. Okay? And um uh, the statement clue was already there. Okay, so this is also known as the most straightforward hint. Okay, Say for example, we have here the sedentary, okay? Sedentary individuals, people who are not very active often have diminished health, okay? So we can, with the use of parentheses, all right, or the meaning of the word or the unfamiliar word was defined with the use of the comma. Okay, that's that parenthesis, that's comma. Okay, yeah. All right. So what's next? We also have here another example on how we can make use of definition context clues. Okay, my friend is sometimes hasty when he does his homework. So he does it too quickly and is careless. Okay, so here again, the definition was given. Hasty means too quickly and is careless. Okay, so if you think that hasty means acting with excessive speed or insufficient consideration, then your definition is correct. Okay, what else? We also have here We also have here the tornado annihilated the whole town to the point that nothing was left standing. Okay, so what are the clues given? Okay, or what are the words given to help us define the word annihilated? Okay, so these are, okay, that's correct, that nothing was left standing. Okay, so if your answer here is, and or yeah, if your answer is destroyed utterly or obliterated or something to cause to cease to exist, then your answer is correct. So annihilated means destroyed utterly or ruined. Okay, another example here is telepathy is defined as the ability. Okay, as you can see, the word or the transition word is defined, is used. Therefore, this sentence already provides the definition of the word telepathy, which is the ability to communicate information to another person without the use of any known senses or communication devices. Okay, so let's move down to the synonym or the last context clue that we may use every time we encounter new words. Okay, so what are synonyms anyway? These are what? These are the words that may mean the same, okay? Or yeah, or these are the words that could have the same definition of a word, okay? Say for example, here in the statement we have the word ecstatic, okay? So what sentence or I mean what word is used to define ecstatic? Of course, it is the word thrilled. Okay, so when my brother found out that he was going to the state championships, he was ecstatic or thrilled. Okay, so the synonym was already given there. All right, so there is a feeling or expressing or I mean there is a feeling of happiness or excitement. Okay, so what are the words that we have to look? Okay, we have to look for the word that is similar or that has, I mean, similar meaning to the unfamiliar word. Okay, and we also have this introduction or I mean, yeah, this the words that introduces the word that introduce this synonym such as in other words what else such as what else or that is to say what else or also known as. Okay, so this synonym paints a clearer picture and sometimes they are used for emphasis. Okay, so let's look at the example. The example here is the chemical reaction created. We'll be using again this word acrid, fumes. Okay? The chemical reaction created acrid fumes and the bitter and pungent stench made the students cough. All right. So what are the clues given we have here, or the synonym words for acrid, we have here the bitter and pungent stench. Okay, so here we no longer have to look for the definition of the word because the synonyms were already given there. All right. So another example is we have here Jackie was filled, or let's try this one. Jackie was filled with mortification or shame because of her careless remark. Okay, so what synonym is used to define the word mortification? Of course, the word shame, which is sit, sitting next to the word mortification, or what we call this unfamiliar word or highfalutin word. So if you think that mortification means a sense of humiliation, then your answer is correct. Let's try to replace the word mortification with a sense of humiliation. And let's see whether the sentence makes sense. Chucky was filled with a sense of humiliation or shame because of her careless remark. Does it make sense? Does the sentence make sense? Of course, yes. So it worked. Okay. Another one is the cheerleader appeared vapid, spiritless as he delivered his pitiful performance in front of the students. Again, the definition was there, sitting next to the word vapid or unfamiliar word. Then we can say that vapid means spiritless, or he is moving in a manner without much energy, okay? Or like he moves very dull or flat, so on and so forth. Okay, so that ends my presentation, and those are the context clues we need to understand, or yeah, we needed in order for us to understand what we are reading. What else? In order for us to reflect and analyze what is read. Okay? So if you have questions or verifications, just simply click the link below. All right? We will be sending the link in the comment section, and we will answer your questions right after this video. Okay? Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned a lot from this video. I would love to hear what you're doing in your class or at work while reading using context clues. So please help us know your reading experiences and improvements by commenting below. And another is to please send us your before and after reading experiences after watching this video. So those are the context clues we needed to understand, reflect, and analyze what we have read or what we are reading. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned a lot from this video. I would love to hear what you're doing in your classroom or at work while reading using context clues. So help us know your reading experiences and improvements by commenting below. And you may also send us your before and after reading experiences after watching this video. Once again, thank you so much, and do not forget to follow us on our official page. Subscribe to our channel by hitting the bell button, and give us a thumbs up by clicking the like icon. All right, for your attendance, okay, and for the evaluation, please see the link posted in the comment section or comment box. Thank you so much. And once again, I am April May Embaloro, ECT ABSED faculty at your service. Now, with that, I hope you can now read happily ever after.